On our last video, we took a look at one of my favorite landscape beds, a lot of the different plants that were growing in there. Today we're going to look at the extension of that bed, this long, narrow little rock bed that you see here. We'll be covering a few of the different unique plants that I've added to this area, as well as some of the different garden art to circle in just a very unique copper garden art sculpture. Now this was something new for me, how narrow this was. In my original idea, I wanted to go ahead, bring it up to here. I'd probably leave some type of a little bit of a gap here to be able to walk through. And then I wanted to go ahead and elongate that bed all the way back, weaving through the center of these other two landscape beds that you see on each side. Now, I don't know if that's really going to ever happen. I like to leave a lot of different open space areas in my gardens to be able to see through and view. And I don't want to hit that point where there's just so much that you lose that atmosphere. If you want to watch that last video, go ahead and go to the description. There's a link there. You can also go subscribe to the channel. You'll find that video. But we left off on this Japanese tree lilac. This is the fall color from last fall, and right behind it we've got this red cone Norway spruce. Yeah, spring, man, that's when it really stands out. This red cone that you see here. Isn't this cool? As we come in closer here for a look, you can see some of the older cones on there, kind of brown, some of them even turning a little bit gray. But you know, that's into that May, first part of June area in our area, northern Great Plains. And then as we progress into summer, you know, you've got a green cone, but look at this, man. Here's some specimens. This is a different landscape that I work at, and I'm almost positive this is the red cone Norway. I haven't been there actually in the month where it does that red cone. I'm usually in and out of there before that happens. Here's a view from the top, you know, looking down that same red cone Norway. Just an absolutely beautiful conifer. This is one I came across in an arboretum. This one's got pretty good size to it, but look at just how that draping, pendulous, you know, different kind of mounding type habit. All right, next up, we're going to talk about this circle. Now, not too long ago, I worked at a garden center, and we had these custom made by a company called Davis Designs out of Fargo, North Dakota. Now, I think they still have an active Facebook page. I'm not an affiliate, but I thought I would just mention it, that they did a great job for us on these. This is a similar one that we put up in that garden center, and we use it as kind of a display. Now, look at that. Isn't that eye-catching? Now, this little natural opening that you see here, this is where I originally wanted to put that circle. So as you came around the corner of our house, you'd walk through this circle, and you'd see the landscape. But for whatever reason, I can't remember if I was working on a project here or I was concerned that I would no longer be able to get my mower back here. I ended up putting it in that location you see there. You know, and as you get older, I don't know if I'm going to move it or not, but that's still a possibility. Now, how this all came together is I got it home from a flatbed truck, and I couldn't lift it off the truck with my tractor, so I ended up just pushing it off. I let it land on the grass area, and then, of course, the next step, I was trying to pick it up with my little front end loader, and I ran out of room. It was almost getting to the top, and it came crashing back and hit the hood. Luckily, the engine guard caught it, and it didn't cause any damage. But I'm pretty sure that's where my wife came into the picture, and she banned me from the tractor. I ended up putting it on a piece of plywood, and I just drug it into the location. It's just beautiful how when you walk through the landscape, it'll frame different plants. Just incredible, depending on the time of day. As you're walking through the yard, you get different viewpoints, different angles. We just absolutely love how it fits into the yard, you know, and it's just such a conversation piece. I even like it how it accents off the snow in the winter, you know, that dark rust metal, just such a contrast, that deep brown. I'm talking about winters, what a difference a year makes. Look at the weather last year. We had about 2 feet of snow almost all winter long. Here today, I'm February, we're above freezing. Don't forget the kids. Get some kids coming over. That thing's durable, man. They can do whatever they want on it. And we've got our little dog Bandit. He likes it too. He'll run around in a circle, jump through that thing. And there you go, look at that. That's a Montgomery Spruce, framed in just beautifully. I did a video not too long ago. I highlighted 3 different Colorado spruce with completely different shapes. So if you're interested in the blue spruce, different conifers, I'll put that in the description also. You can take a look at that video. All right, we're going to move on to Uncle Fogy pine. Now, my original idea on this pine, I wanted to go ahead and start training up some of the different branches that you get on this plant. I might have to eventually go ahead and expand that bed out a little bit because it can get pretty wide. This one I came across at another arboretum, an old Uncle Fogy. Man, look at that branch structure. Now, I suppose this isn't for everybody, but I just absolutely love it. If you take a look down lower on the trunk on this. At one point, they must have had to remove something that died back, and I just love it when caretakers, you know, they don't just abandon a plant. You give it the room to grow and become mature and to show that character. If you like some of these unique conifers, unique trunkage, different bark, that's something you like in trees. I'm planning on working on a video, my next one, where I'm going to introduce you to some of the photos I've taken in various yards. And we'll get that video up and ready for you. You can even use it as garden art here. This is a trellis that somebody's using it for their clematis. One of the things I do have to address on this Uncle Fogy, though, in the spring, I started noticing a yellowing on the needles, and I thought maybe it was in a wet area and they might prefer more of that dry location, but nope, I've got scale. And some of the different scale, it kind of sneaks up on you if you don't pay close attention. This is an Al Johnson pine that I didn't pay attention and I lost it to that scale. And I eventually had to just take it out. So I did a video on that as well, pretty short one, where you can take a look at that pine tortoise scale. Our next plant up is a dwarf Scotch pine here that we put in. And you know, this was a spendy little plant. This is out of Isley Nursery. It's in that cedar wood box. That's kind of one of the things they showcase some of their specimens in. And we put this in, and the first winter, here's what happened. Yeah, we had that burning on it, and I thought, uh-oh. But lucky enough, the candles, once they broke dormancy, that new growth came out. And as we progressed into July, started looking pretty good. By September, you know, you could hardly tell. But when you get that dead needle growth, you have to be patient. It can take several months for it to flake off. I'll oftentimes come out and I'll brush it with my hands, get it to flake through. And what we're coming up against now on this, the brown that you're seeing, we're actually getting that natural needle cast that you can see in pine, and it's filtering down and starting to build up on these different little balls in this area. So we're going to have to get in there and manually just remove some of those needles that are shedding, you know, over the summer, through the winter. So it's kind of a high maintenance plant, but we love it. What you do have to do on this plant every spring, when those candles start elongating, that's when you want to go ahead and take off about half of the candle to 2/3. Now this is always going to inch ahead of us, and what's eventually going to happen, it's just going to turn into a smaller dwarf, kind of an irregular mounding type conifer. So we've probably already got about 5 or 6 years out of this, but you know, by the time we go another 5 to 6 years, this might have mostly blended together. But hardy, other than just that one winter where we got that winter burn. And now let's go ahead and take a look at our next garden art piece. This is one of our favorites, most we've ever spent on art, quite honestly. This is something my wife has called the Flame. Now I got this at that same business that I worked at, and brought my tractor over there. Had a little bit better luck lifting it, so that worked out okay. Now this art piece was originally on a post, and the windy area knocked it down, so it was just redesigned, rebuilt on this granite slab that you see here. But this is made by Forest Edge Art Galleries. I believe they have an active website, some nice art pieces on display. I'm not an affiliate of these guys either, but just mentioning how much I love this art design that they did here. And next up on the list here, we've got Hot Wings Tatarian Maple. Yeah, it's sold because of the name, the Samaras, those hot wings that you get into the early summer, almost all the way through into the fall before they kind of start turning brown. But it's a nice, small, medium-sized tree, incredibly hardy. Gets a bit of a yellow color for the fall, mixed in with just a few of the different little red tones. But this is a tough maple, incredibly hardy. If you want to take a look at about 3 other medium-sized trees that are in that 25 to 30 foot range, I've got a video on that as well that I'll put in the description. But yeah, just a nice maple that's going to fit in here just beautifully. We can always lift up these lower branches eventually as well, let it kind of cascade over this art piece. That's all I've got for today's video. I appreciate you stopping by Garden Hike. We'll see you again next video.